Okay, welcome everybody. Uh, this we're actually going to go live since I think I've worked out all the bugs in on my end, what I'm doing and what I'm not doing right, or what I'm doing right and what I'm not, and what I'm not doing right. Just want to reiterate that this is for driver support, not technical support. Uh, I'm not here to fix your app. I don't have the technology here at things that make you go hum to fix your app. I want you to either attend Garrett's live Monday through Friday, 11:30 Pacific, 12:30 p.m. Mountain Time. If you've got any questions app related on, hey, how can I? My app's not running. I've paid everything. I've done everything. How come I can't get my app working? That's the time you want to call or talk to Garrett. Talking to me isn't going to help you at all. I can help you as far as, hey, how do I use Square? How do I start a private ride? I can actually take my phone and show you right here how to start a private ride if I need to. Okay. We go over an orientation. What we do in orientation is just to get you started. We're kind of like orientation, home orientation is kind of like a quick start guide, if you will, to get you started. Hey, this is the you ta touch private ride. It comes up. You put in a phone number. You hit request. Yeah, you tap it a couple more times till you see at the bottom of the screen it says start ride. Start the ride and go. We tell you that I can tell you that. Hey, how do I get to where I'm going? I use Google Maps to get me where I'm going. Uh, I've got a newer car that allows me to have Google Maps on my big screen on my actual car. I don't have to rely on my phone screen to tell me where I'm going. So, uh, in my Nissan Rogue, I can't hang it from the dash and have it come over. What it used to be right beside, all the controls and the screens and stuff like that, like on my Equinox. So I basically got it down here on my console. I can't keep doing this. So the great thing about my Rogue is, hey, it allows me to see everything, even Uber and Lyft rides. Uh, the tracking it allows me to do everything on screen, a bigger screen, kind of about the size of this screen that I have right now. So I get a good view of everything, and that's where I get where I'm going. I mean, I can show you how I set up for a private ride. Okay, how like before that person even gets in the car, I've got where they're going already on my screen. I've got their number already on my screen, on my telephone, on my cell phone. I mean, and it's just ready to hit stuff. Start. Usually, in fact, my Google Maps has already started with the time I pull up to them. I already got it started, and then like I said, I plug in my phone number. I've already got that started, and usually, if it's a private ride where I don't care what the end mileage or what the end collect cash says, depending, sometimes I will just start the ride anyway and get going, and that way, when we get in, I don't forget to start it. So basically, as soon as I see him open the door to their house or their apartment or wherever, I hit start. Or as soon as I see them, if they're walking through a complex or something, as soon as I see them, I hit start right so I don't forget about it. Get out of the car, open up their door. My luggage rack or my hatchback is already open, so I open the door for them. There you are. Let me take that luggage for you. Boom, set it in the back, and we get going. All right. I close the door, close up the hatch, and away we go. Get in the car. I just basically have to hit start ride or start, the ride's already started. Who cares? Get going. All right. That's what I can tell you how to do. Okay. I can tell you that, hey, don't end the ride when you get to the airport as soon as you pull up to the airport. Don't end the ride till you've got them out of your vehicle, you've got their luggage out of their vehicle, you've got the door closed, the hatch closed, and you were back in the vehicle with the door closed. That's when you end the ride. Okay. That way, everything, in case something happens, and God forbid it does, but in case something does happen, you can take care of stuff. All right. So just think about that. Uh, whew. What else? Like I said, I can teach you how to use Square, how to do an invoice. Why would you want to use an invoice? How to see how you're doing as far as a week ago, a day ago, or a day ago, a week ago, a month ago, 3 months ago, and a year ago. on Square. It keeps track of all that stuff for you. So you know, hey, am I doing good? Am I not doing good? Am I down? Why am I down? Is it because hey, I'm not doing enough transactions in Square? Is that why I'm down? And then I have to look, hey, well, if I didn't do enough transactions in Square, does that mean I'm not doing enough private rides? Or am I getting a lot of cash? Or am I getting a lot of Venmo? Am I getting a lot of Cash App or PayPal or or Zelle? Am I getting more of those than I am Square? So you kind of, it kind of helps you look at things just to make sure, hey, okay, where am I at in this great wheel of life in the gig economy? What am I doing right? What am I doing wrong? And if you look at that stuff, it works out great for you. It helps you say, hey, I'm doing okay. I'm doing great. I can always do better. But for right now, hey, as long as I keep going the way I'm going, I'm going to keep improving. Or, oh man, things are kind of falling back. What's wrong? Is it my business model? You might want to look at your business model. How is that going? You might be that day to day guy, and hey, the day to day rides aren't happening. Some guy said, "Oh, I got my," and it's happened to me. That's how I phased out of my day to day rides. Is that uh, basically everybody got cars. They were using me to save money to afford a car or to get a vehicle. Uh, and even one stopped using me uh, 4 days a week out of five because she was going back to school. And she wasn't working. She's only working 1 to 2 days a week, and that's all she used me for. So uh, I was picking her up 5 days a week after school. She would go to the morning session and then work in the afternoon. Well, they decided not to do that, and she decided not to do that. So and then eventually it was just like, hey, I've got my own vehicle now. Thank you, and I will use you anytime I need to go to the airport, or my grandma or any of my friends need to go to the airport. I'm going to use you, and she has, and she is one of my better clients that I had for over a year, had for over a year, and she was a great client, and she provided a lot of positive. I even told her when I said, hey, we did our ceremonial last ride together. I said, I want to thank you because even when I was just picking you up on Fridays, I was looking forward to Friday because you provided positive energy into my life. Not that I was needing it. I said, but you provided it. That kind of just, hey, made me feel better about that day and just kept me wanting to go to the next Friday. And I said, I just want to thank you for that. And now I've got other people that have taken her place. But I mean, she did. She was 22 years old. She provided great positive energy. We had a great time together, and she was one that hey valued my time and valued hey if she forgot to tell me that hey she was feeling sick that day and wasn't going to go to work and I showed up anyway. She took care of me, big time. Took care of me. More, I mean, a usual $10 ride for her, and I got her. I She and I became acquainted through another driver who couldn't do these rides with her anymore. It was costing him too much to do it. So he said, "Hey, can you do this?" And I said, "Sure." I was looking for clients at the time. I was like, "Hell yeah, I'll take it." And boom, we got going. All right. Now remember, when I say boom, that means hey, things are going great. When I say boom, hey, we're making things going. Things are happening. When you say boom, it's almost like go or hey, gotcha or whatever you want to get you going. When I say boom, that means hey, we're going. Uh, so uh, why am I doing this? Okay, why am I doing this? Why? Because I'm mainly doing it now because hey, we've got California going live. Okay, we've got I mean, there's probably a million drivers from San Francisco to LA to San Diego and all points in between. There's at least a potential of having a million drivers on the Hum platform. Okay, are all those million drivers going to know exactly what to do? Are they going to attend orientation because oh they think oh I've been doing Uber and Lyft for 8 years now. I don't need that orientation. I know what I'm doing. And then you come to find out what's the first question they hit on WhatsApp. I've had my app on for 2 days and haven't got a ride. Well, have you given anybody a business card? What do you mean? This ain't Uber and Lyft, man. You got to work for your rides. You know. And well, why am I paying a subscription then? Well, you're paying a subscription because if you wanted to do private rides by yourself, the private insurance would be $600 to $800 a month, if not more, especially in California. So there's that. All right. Uh, Yeah, so just think about stuff like that when you're doing this. Hey, there we go. Hey, man, I don't necessarily do dollars per mile, if you will. I do. I work certain areas here in Phoenix, Scottsdale, Mesa, Apache Junction, and the north end of Gilbert and Chandler. So I pretty much just have a dollar amount set for those areas. Like from Apache Junction, I'm charging anywhere from 60 to $80 up north, going up to Cave Creek area, 80 to $100. I don't go per mile, and I mainly look at per hour when I'm doing long trips. I want to make money per hour. I don't want to make money per mile. Uh, just because, hey, it's you drive yourself crazy trying to think about that stuff. Now, a lot of people like to do. Some people I've known have said, hey, however long it takes, double that, and that's what you charge. So if it takes you 15 minutes, charge $30, and you'll be good to go. Or I've had the people do, hey, well, I'm gonna make my rate at $2 a mile, and that's a great thing you can do with them. Is when you're doing a private ride, you can set your own price. Okay, you don't. We have a rate card, but that's mainly for the rider app that we have. That's what paying customer that uses the app. Okay, so once again, my my hourly rate is basically like if I'm just going to do an hour, I'm probably going to do about $30 to $35 an hour. If I'm doing more than an hour, I'm looking at $40 to $50 an hour. Uh, just depends on how far I got to go. Tucson is about 2 hours away from Phoenix. That I'm looking at $50 an hour plus, just because. Um, and it depends on, hey, are we going to Tucson? Do I have to wait? Wait and then come back? Then yeah, I'm probably going to do like $55 to $60 an hour. So that's what I quote. If they don't like it, it's no skin off my back. I don't care. There's 5 million. I always tell people there's 5 million people in Phoenix. If one person doesn't like your quote, there's 4,999,999 people to go before you have to start thinking, hey, is my quote wrong? All right. So think about that. Now, you said you're in West Virginia there, so uh, uh, not sure. I know you got a big college recruit, college area to recruit rides from. I think it's got Charleston as your capital, right? No, I have a regular gas burner, Nissan Rogue 23. Uh, you know, like I said, if you're trying to do dollars per mile, I mean, you can do it. Don't get me wrong. You can. It's whatever you want. Here's my thing about think when you're looking at dollars per mile, and this is what I used to do when I drove Uber and Lyft, and what I would look for. All right, I used to want to do short rides when they would have surges because if I could get that $3 and try to keep it anytime I did a ride, anytime I moved my car, it was for $3 a mile or $2 to $3 a mile. That's what I was looking for. Because here's what I was looking at. If I did uh, 40,000 miles on a year doing rideshare, if I did 40,000 miles a year, I would be making between 80 and $120,000 in a year. Okay, so that's the way I used to think. Like I said, I was always doing short rides with surge. If I didn't have surge, I wasn't moving. If I didn't have, I mean, I might trace. If a surge was in 2 to 3 blocks of me, I would go after it. But that's when you had Uber Pet that I could just leave Uber Pet on, turn Uber X and off, and I could zoom through there, pick up the surge, and go from there. But hey, Uber put a cancel to that where you can't use Uber Pet just by itself anymore. So it is what it is. I had to adapt and overcome. And like I said, then Hum came along out here in Phoenix and allowed me to do private rides with commercial insurance, which is the main thing. Okay, it gives me an app to begin and start the ride. It lets me charge my own rate, whatever I want to charge. I mean, I don't. I can go by mile. I can. I don't like to go by mile just because, hey, uh, when you figure by mile, you're sometimes you're in rush hour and it's unpredictable what rush hour can be and stuff like that. So I really don't like doing per mile because sometimes you can spend more time doing 5 miles in the same amount of time especially if you got to go through side streets and stuff like that, you could spend more time doing less miles than I can doing per hour. So I would rather charge per hour if that makes sense to you. I hope it does. Um, that's just the way I do things. I mean, that's the great thing about with Hum out here is that there is no rules other than you need to start the ride in the app and end the ride in the app. And it's not necessarily a rider app that you need to start and end the ride with. You can start the ride and end the ride in a driver app. So it works out great that way for uh, if it ever gets to West Virginia or you ever come to California, Arizona, or Idaho, which is where we're all at right now. All right. So hopefully, and I tried to, uh, Mike Drop Barbecue, that's my mentor. Yes, sir. Uh, Jeff is my mentor. All right. Uh, I'll be the first one to tell you that. He's taught me everything I know. He's the reason why I'm even doing this now. Is hey, I'm just trying to up my game. The one thing I like about Jeff is this is a guy who's always taught me never be satisfied with the status quo, never be satisfied with the way things are. Always be looking at more ways to put money into your bank account. Always be looking for more ways to do that. And he does. I mean, he repairs vehicles, he does t-shirts, he does consulting, he does private rides, Uber and Lyft, all that good shit. And yeah, he talks about anything and everything on his YouTube channels. He has channels. He's on TikTok. He's on everything. And yeah, Jeff is my mentor. I gave him full credit for my success, uh, but to teach me how to be successful, I should put it that way. He taught me how to be successful. When I was first starting Uber and Lyft, and I was just like, at first I started Uber Eats, and I was just like, man, I am not making money delivering food. It's putting too many miles on the car. I'm doing too many oil changes and not. It's my bottom line is growing and my profit line is shrinking. So a gentleman told me to start doing the rides, and what he did was the rides in the morning, Uber Eats at lunchtime, and then a mixture of the two in the evening. So I took that, and it was still kind of hey, I was a diamond driver, if you will. I was that guy that was taking anything and everything that popped up on the screen. I was that guy, and I think at the time, the one time they offered a bonus if you maintained a diamond driver for 3 months, they gave you $350. Well, they only gave it to me once, even though I did it, for about 6 months. And so I was like, man, I'm still not where I want to be. And I always hear people are, hell yeah, I make good money, I make good money. Well, how the hell are you making good money? So I went to Facebook, tried Facebook first. Hey, let's see if there's a Uber Facebook Phoenix group. Well, I did, and guess what? All they had were negative negative people on there. All right. If you said, "Hey, I did something good today," they jumped all over you for it. Man, don't be saying that. People think you can be successful at this, and more people want to do it. We don't want more people doing it. Well, that's kind of shitty. Well, why you being selfish? All right. So, all right. Well, so I got to figure, hey, Uh, I mean, you can learn to be a heart surgeon on YouTube. So, like, hey, let's do Uber uh, YouTube driver or Uber driver on YouTube. And when I did, I got Jeff's channel and just started watching. I mean, I'll tell you what, I watched him with a fine tooth comb. I really did because back in the day, he was doing, saying, hey, look at these short rides I'm taking, man. You want to take short rides when you're in surge because you want to be able to do as many rides as you can while this surge is around. You only want to do rides that are going to take you 5 minutes but pay you $3 to $5 a mile. Okay, that makes sense. Let's do that. And I kept watching. Okay, well, is he just trying to blow smoke up my butt or what the hell? Well, come to find out, hey, and it was cool because you could actually see the time on his recordings. You can see the time on his phone, and you can actually see, him declining, declining, declining. Oh, that one's a good one. The back to declining, declining, declining. So having a surge. Boom, There's another one he took, and wow, hey, he's doing this, and he's saying, "Hey, man, I'm making 50, 40 to $50 an hour," and you can see it because you're watching the time on his phone, and he's making $40 to $50 an hour. So I said, "Hey, this is the guy I need to watch." And like I said, I watched him. I watched how he did things, and I still do things that I learned from that very first time watching him. I don't go backwards. I don't go a mile back to go 500 feet forward. I mean, it's especially if I'm working across town. And now that's the only thing I use Uber for. Here's what I use Uber and Lyft for. One, I'm a private driver now, so Uber and Lyft will provide me a list of possible clients that I get to interview or I get to look at and say, it's kind of like the Tinder, if you will. Swipe right or swipe left. No, I like this guy. No, I don't like this guy. I like this guy. Let's give him my business card. Boom. And when I do that, when I hand somebody my business card, I've got an 80% success rate that hey, they contact me back. Why? Because my service matches my quotes, and my service is outstanding. And that's the one thing you need to always think about is providing if you provide an outstanding service, you will get paid for it, guaranteed. People will want to use you time and time again. And like I said, if you the great thing about Hum is for $60 a month at their lowest subscription, which is a sedan rate, uh, you get private commercial insurance. Okay, so that being said, if you tried to do commercial insurance on your own, guess what? 600 to $1,000 a month. Here you're paying 60. Do the math. It's real simple. You want to use Hum. All right. So just think about that stuff. Ooh, mouth's getting a little dry there. Anyway, so I hope that answers a lot of your questions. Like I said, Jeff is one hell of a guy. He and I have gotten together over the years, and we both live in Phoenix, so we do see each other a lot. And we both went to the Hum meeting together. Hum had a meetup about a year and 8 months ago the 300. There was about 10 of us from the 300 that showed up at this meeting, and literally we had a person named Marcel that was telling us, "Oh man, yeah, I do these things called manual rides where I just put in their phone number and I've got commercial insurance and I get to take them wherever they want and I get to charge whatever I want." Bam! That hit me, Jeff, and everybody else in there. This is what we've been talking about. This is what we need to do. And boom, we just went off. All right. So that's what happened. And that's what made it great. And yeah, so I'm going to take a little break right here. I'm going to kind of advertise that, hey, I'm on live and see if I can get anybody else to jump on here. Let me see here. What's that? Uh, Sorry, I got to sit here and. Uh, there we go. All right. All right. There we go. Okay. Second here. Just kind of advertising here on WhatsApp chat. That one's down. Uh, mhm. Here. All right. So just sent a bunch of texts out on the WhatsApp chats to. I didn't do Phoenix today. I got to do Phoenix. There's a lot of people I'm trying to help. Dun, 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 dun. There we go. Let's see if we get anybody in here, and we can get going live with some other people asking questions. Thank you, Soldier, for dropping in. I really do appreciate that. Feel free to subscribe to the channel. I'm not here to make money. Jeff makes money off of YouTube. More power to him. I'm just here to help hum drivers and private drivers. Um, just help out whatever way I can. I have a pretty successful business model, and it is what it is. And let's see, what we got going. Boom. All right, go. All right. So back to what was kind of going to start all over again here. Like I said, this channel is meant to help hum drivers in California, Arizona, and Idaho. It's to help private drivers worldwide. Uh, I don't know if I'm worldwide yet, but I know evidently I at least reach the friendly confines and the country roads of West Virginia. Hey, John Denver was. I grew up in Colorado, so I'm a John Denver fan as well. So, yeah, I'm familiar with country roads, West Virginia. All right, Mountain Mama, take me home, country roads. All right. So, uh, what does it take to be a private driver? Okay, first off, uh, it all starts with a conversation. You got to have a conversation with the person in the back seat or the side or your passenger seat or however you're getting somebody to and from A to B. Okay. Um, I like to target airport rides because an airport is always going on. Okay. Like events, like hey, you can have something at the college stadium, maybe once a week, once a month, whatever. That's going to be your big event. By all means, you can still be a private driver for that. Taking to somebody on Uber and Lyft, there's your hey, is this person going to be a good enough client for me to? Because once you make somebody, you give them a ride on a private ride, and if your service matches your quote, they're going to want to use you more often. So, you can target every event that you want, but like I said, the number one event in any state that has a major airport, that's the number one event because it's always going on. Uh, and then just depending on time of day and how many flights are coming in, depending sometimes on what a surge might be around that airport. All right. So, and that's what Hum mainly is a surge buster, if you will. Uh, what it does is, hey, if somebody's trying to get a ride with a surge involved in it, say, a percentage or 11 or 12 or $13 surge, that, hey, if their flight would have landed an hour earlier, they wouldn't pay that much. Well, guess what? Now you can sit there and say, hey, well, the next time, if you always come into this airport at this time, because I do have some people that are regulars. They fly. I have a gal that goes from Phoenix to Burbank, and she will stay a couple days. Sometimes it's Monday to Wednesday. Sometimes it's Wednesday to Friday. But you know, her ride on Uber and Lyft could be a lot more expensive depending on what time she comes back and what time she takes off and everything else. So uh, I happened to catch her twice, and the reason that she remembered me is because here in Phoenix on Terminal 4, if you're coming in on the south side of the terminal, uh, your A and your uh, s- C gates, or no, your A and your D gates are at the far end of the terminal, and your B and your C gates are at the uh, closer end of the terminal as you're pulling into it. So she remembered me that, hey, I asked, hey, what gate are you using? And she's like, oh, I remember you asked me that the last time. I've had you before. I said, oh yeah, you have. And I said, this looks like this is more than something. And she was kind of like in between my rise to my rise in business ownership, I should say, and that is that. Excuse me here, real quick. Don't care about that. All right. So what happened was is uh, before I wasn't necessarily uh, uh, she wasn't necessarily react. God, where was I going with that? Sorry, I got distracted. Uh, Basically, she knew that I knew that. Hey, well, she knew that. Hey, I knew what I was doing because I was asking that question, and then she liked that. Hey, I remembered her. Okay, and it was just those simple little things that you might do it as an Uber driver or a Lyft driver. You might, oh man, I've had you before. Yeah, in fact, it cost somebody sometime because they didn't take advantage of what I offered them on the first ride I had with them. Okay, what happened was this person was going to. This is the time last summer. Let's see, when did I start? I started in April of 23, I think, is when I started. Yeah, no, when did I start? April of 24. Okay, so this was sometime in July of 24. I was cooking. I mean, I was making good money. I was converting people. I was doing all kinds of crazy stuff. And I told this one guy that, hey, if you want, you do this right every day. You're paying. And I asked him, I said, are you paying more than $25 for this ride every day? He goes, yeah, I'm paying right at 25. I said, okay, well, here's what we're going to do. You're doing this ride 5 days a week. Why don't I do it for you for $20 a day and $100 a week, and you can pay me on Friday? We can do that. I said, yes, we can. We can do that. I know how to do that. I'll send you an invoice. You just pay the invoice. If you don't pay the invoice, next Monday you don't get picked up, or you don't get picked up until you pay the invoice. Okay, that sounds good. That's a good idea. All right, cool. Well, he was going to text me Sunday to say, hey, what? Because he's like, I need to get up early. I got to be in early on Monday. I said, all right, well, just text me when you need to get in. Okay, I will. All right. Well, never heard anything. Crickets. Well, about 2 months later, I get him again, and he's like, hey, you're that guy that offered to do this for $100, right? I said, I was that guy. He goes, what do you mean? I said, well, it's 125 now. He goes, what? I said, yeah, because hey, gas is going up, man. Freaking, uh, my rates have gone up, so this is 125. Oh, I said, yeah, you should have used me back then. You would have been locked in for 100. And hey, it was just hey, a way of telling them, hey, when you get a good deal, take it because it may not be there. You know, a month down the road, 2 months down the road, it may not be there again, and you snooze, you lose. So, like I said, that's my thing. Is hey, I look for people, And like I said, I was looking. He was going to fulfill a slot because I had a time slot between my second and my. I was doing 4 rides a day, and I was looking for rides that would fill in between my time slots that would take me from the end of one ride to the start of another. And I was trying to find that perfect, so that I could just keep going, through the day and be done by 10:30 and have 300 bucks. That's what I was looking at. And I was starting at 5. So over 5 hours, 300 bucks. I was looking at trying to do that. And, you know, this guy was going to fill one of those slots. And I was like, okay, this could work out great for me. And I can make $100 a week off this guy, $400 a month. And, I was already doing 250 a week. So that was 1,000. And I was going to make another 400. So I'm getting $1,400 a month just off of, 4 people. But like I said, he didn't want to do it. And, I've had people do that where, hey, I was like, hey, man, I'll take you back for this amount, sometimes being $10 cheaper than what they paid. And, nothing happened. Well, lo and behold, that's what happened. So, they snooze, they lose. Uh, and then, like I said, I've had a guy that I was filling up my gas tank and I had magnets at the time on my other car, that talked about hum and drivers keep 100% of the fare and uh, airport rides and everything else and blah, blah, blah. And he just came and asked me, hey, do you do rides to the airport? And I said, yeah. And he goes, well, how much do you think it would be from here? And I go, well, I mean, from the gas station or from, like how far is from here? I said, because a lot of people say, yeah, I'm just over there and it's 5 to 10 miles down the road. I said, so and he was literally across the street. I said, okay, yeah. So it'd be I told him about 50 bucks from here. Okay. I'll be in touch with you. I said, okay, no problem. Here's my business card. Just text me when I said, give me at least 3 days notice so that if I can't get you, I have other drivers that are in the area that can pick you up as well and give you the same great give you the same offer and the same great service I would give you. He's like, okay, thank you. And we happen to work it out, and now hey, he's one of my clients. I mean, and that's just as easy it is. I had a 2-minute conversation at a gas station at a gas station, and I got a client. Okay, so it's not just talking to people in your car. Uh, I don't have Jeff made me a bunch of shirts. You don't have my name and number on the back. Ask about airport rides, ask about private rides, and stuff like that. So he asked me about that stuff, and that's stuff that hey, when I'm going out and about, and I'm just uh, going shopping or whatever, I have that on so that hey, people will ask me questions. Okay, and as long as they do, it was worth the price that I paid for it. Because every one of my rides, I mean, uh, the sedan rate is 59.99, and I guarantee you, on the first of the month, within the first 2 to 3 days of the month, I've already on one ride made that up. So it is what it is with that. So with that being said, just think about when you're doing a private ride that hey, uh, you're going to be. Uh oh, what do we got here? Okay. All right. There's a girl in California, or I should say a lady in California. I shouldn't say girl. She, uh, all right. See, that's what I like about my clients too. Is they say, hey, I do still have a Monday through Thursday ride that goes off at between 4 and 4:30 every day, and just depending on what day it is, what time she needs to go. And uh, the poor gal, I don't know what she did to her ankle, but she hurt her ankle, and she does taekwondo classes, so she is not going to be uh, able to do that. So that's good. I like it when they call me instead of last minute. me see here. Does that one not? Alrighty, so that was cool. Just had even, I mean, I even had people say, "Hey, man, sorry, I'm on a ride right now. I'm missing your live right now." So that's great. At least like I said, there's going to be a demand for this, and basically what it is, and if people watch this later, is that this is where you can come to get those. Hey, how do you come up with a quote? Really, how do you come up with who do you give your who do you give your card to? How do you determine who's a private client and who's not? All right. So, uh, that's what this channel is going to be for. That's what these live streams are going to be for. And like I said, Jersey Mike's, I know you're not paying for anything here, but if you send me some free subs, I'll really appreciate it. Anyway, all right. Sorry. All right. So, like I said, this is about helping drivers. This is a driver helping drivers. Okay. I'm not like I'm not just some guy that's great at advertising or great at marketing or great at whatever. I'm great at guest service, and that's what I'd like to say. That if you uh, are great at guest service and you are a driver, you can make big money. Okay, because people will pay to have you drive them. Okay, because you know how to provide a great experience, and if you can provide a great experience, people want to use you. Okay, trust me, people don't want to roll the dice and hope they get somebody like me, okay? Because that's what they do. They hope and pray. And they hope and pray that, hey, they're going to be there in time to get me to where I need to go on time, okay? Uh, you know, th- and I'm going to get there alive, okay? And I'm not going to be taken advantage of. I'm not going to be assaulted. I'm going to be treated with respect, you know, all these great things that we do as professional drivers. And that's what Hum is we're a collection of professional drivers that use Uber and Lyft drivers to become our personal clients. Okay. And hey, like I said, just like they're looking at me to be their private driver, I'm looking at them to be my private client. If they don't fit my criteria, and I have about 5 things that I go by, if they don't fit my criteria, they don't get a card. Now, sometimes I will tell them about Hum and hey, you should think about downloading this app and requesting a ride through Hum. You might find it beneficial for you. Okay, because and that's what it is too. Is they may not fit my criteria, but hey, maybe you're a little more lax than I am. Maybe you're a little more chill. Maybe you're a little more tolerant than I am. Okay, and I'm pretty tolerant. Don't get me wrong. I mean, it takes a lot for me not to want to give you a card. Okay, there's really two main things, and I'll go over those here right now. Okay, the first thing is a positive attitude, man. If you're not happy when you get my car, if you're not positive, I don't want you. I don't want to be your private client. I don't want to be your private driver because you're gonna bring me down, and I don't want to be brought down. Okay, no, I want our ride to be enjoyable. You know, I want you to say, "Oh man, I'm glad I got Kevin today." Or "Hey, man, Kevin made my day." And I have clients like that too that make my day when I take them somewhere. It's nice to go talk with them and stuff like that. And like I said, we talk about wives, we talk about children, we talk about life in general. Sometimes we talk politics. Sometimes I try to stay away from politics, uh, unless unless I know we're agreeing on politics. Otherwise, and I'm not going to go with my politics on here. But if I see that, hey, you're going one way, I'm going to just try and steer this away from politics. All right. Um, so great attitude. Like I said, great attitude. And next thing is you use rideshare a lot. Okay. Now during this week, if I'm picking somebody up at the airport or taking somebody to the airport, I'm going to ask them, hey, how are you getting back? Just so that, sorry, folks, just so that I can make a little money over the holidays. I mean, that's what it is. I'll just make some money over the holidays. These people may use me again, they may not, but hey, for at least the time being, I'm at least I'm at least going to get what Uber's getting paid versus what Uber's paying me. Okay, that's one of my mantras. I want to make what Uber's getting paid, not what they're paying me. Okay, so they use rideshare a lot. So, and I've got about out of my 182 clients, 40 of them at least use me once a month. So I'm at least guaranteed 40 rides a month. Okay. And then out of that 40, uh, probably about 15 of them use me more than once a month. So I'm looking into 60 pluses, at least this time of year, because I do have a lot this time of year. Now, some other things to do. Okay. So use rideshare a lot, positive attitude. Third thing is how is the pickup? Okay. One of the reasons why I only work North Chandler, which I don't go too far down off the 60 or Gilbert, is because you do a lot of this, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, 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 right. It's crazy. Some of these new subdivisions, how they, there's only one way into them, and then you got to do about 50 rights and lefts before you get to somebody. I don't want to do that. I like nice, easy pickups. They're like, if they're right off a main, you go off the 60 and you go to Power Road and you go to just a street that's a left or right street that's off of Power, and you maybe go 2 or 3 blocks down and then you pick them up. That's an easy pickup. Okay. And I can get back on and go down. Uh, Now, like I said, on a 60 that runs east and west, I look for rides that go east and west on that axis, if you will. And then once I get to the airport, then I look for rides that go to Scottsdale. Okay. And then once I'm in Scottsdale, I will look for rides that go from Scottsdale to the airport. Or depending on time of day and how things are going, if I see a ride that takes me back east to East Mesa or into West Apache Junction, I will take that ride and just call it a day. Okay. Sometimes you got to know when to say, hey, enough's enough. The old Kenny Rogers song, you got to know when to hold them and know when to fold them. All right. You got to know when to stay somewhere and when to say, hey, this well's dried out. Let's see if we can find some water elsewhere. All right. So that's the things you got to think of. Okay. So we've got that. Um, use a pickup. Fourth thing. Okay. And this is probably the one, this one and the next one are the ones that, hey, disqualify a lot of people. Good hygiene. And I don't mean, hey, you've got great white teeth or anything like that. What I do need is you to not smell like you just smoked 5 packs before you got into my car. I don't need you to look like you just got out of Cheech and Chong's Up and Smoke freaking Impala and got into my vehicle. I don't need that smell. That smell, one, I can't stand it. It irritates me. Okay. Uh, and two, like I said, if you don't smell good, and I've literally had it, and thank God it was only 3/4 of a mile that I had to do this ride. But I picked a girl up in fact, I'm even gagging just thinking about it. Picked this girl up, and I literally was dry heaving. She was in the back seat, and I was dry heaving in the front seat with a little crack in my window and the fan all the way up so it was blowing fresh air into me. Oh my God, this gal just stunk. And, I had to get that out of my car. And I carry, Febreze and everything else, but it's just like, when you get that stink in your car, I mean, I've had it before where, hey, I pick somebody up and Oh man! And I knew that the ride, my private rider behind me, behind this ride, she's gonna smell the smoke. And I mean, I am driving with all four windows down. Uh, my Hawaiian scent Febreze, I wasted about half a can, and she could still smell it. And I was like, "Yeah, I know, Wendy." I said, I knew it, and I knew it, and I tried to get it out, but it just didn't. She goes, "Okay." She goes, "Well," she goes, "I know it's not you because I know you don't smoke." But that's just it. Not every person is going to know that like Wendy, that I don't smoke. Okay, and I don't get high, so they're not going to know. Hey, when they get that, hey, is this guy high? He's driving me. Because if I make one little mistake, almost, oh, this guy's high. You're setting yourself up, and it wasn't even your fault. Next thing you know, you're getting a deactivation because hey, somebody said you were driving high, and you're not. And you don't even smoke. I mean, Uber's at least gotten a little bit smarter where they say if somebody says you're driving high, they want you to go to take a urinalysis or some type of. They want you to take a drug test before they cancel you. So I do like that one thing about them. They've at least gotten smart about that. All right. So uh, what else have we done? Oh yeah, the last thing. Okay, like I said, good hygiene. That's usually the one that cancels everybody. All right. Uh, and then the last one is trusting my gut. You know, say it's on the borderline of an easy pickup. They've kind of got some good energy, but not. It doesn't match mine. Okay. Uh, and am I holding them to that? Not really, but if they're just hey, they get in and they're just looking at their phone the whole time they're in there, and you're like, hey, where you headed, and blah blah blah, and you try to get stuff out of them, and they're just not responding. Because that's the other thing too. When you want to find something out about somebody, you don't ask them a yes or no question or yes or no answer. For them to get you a yes or no answer. You want to give them an open-ended question to allow them to talk about themselves. Okay, so that way you get to know, hey, who is this person? All right, and you know, a lot of times you can find, like I said, the great thing that I like to do is targeting that airport person is, hey, where are you headed? And if they've been someplace that I've been before, oh yeah, man, have you tried this out? Have you seen this and that? Blah blah blah. Just talk to them about stuff, and that way they'll respond back to you, and they'll say, oh man, this guy at least knows what he's talking about. He's not trying to blow smoke up my rear end. So uh, it is what it is. And like I said, I used to be ecstatic when I got a $1 and a $2 tip. 'Cause, oh, and I've always been that way. I mean, I used to bartend for a living for a while between getting out of the Navy and joining CDOT in Colorado. Oops, sorry, I got my Philly cheesesteak is coming up here a little bit. Uh, I used to bartend, and what used to really, kind of get under my skin is other bartenders that would be pissed because somebody left them 2 quarters or 3 quarters on a drink, you know, or they took the dollars and left the change. All right, well that's money we didn't have, and if you do enough of those, they're going to add up anyway. I would rather have a whole lot of something than a whole lot of nothing. And that's what I always and that's why I always treated people. Hey, thank you for it. Thank you. I never said thank you for the 75 cents or thank you for the quarter or thank you for the 50 cents. I never said or thank you for the dollar or whatever. I just said, hey, thanks, man, appreciate it. Boom, and left it at that. With a nice positive. Oh man, thanks for that 50 cents. Wow, glad you could afford that. No, you don't do stuff. Because trust me, we had bartenders that would do that. And yeah, it would be funny to the people around watching it. You know, but what did you make that person feel like? So once again, that and granted, we all pooled our tips, but sometimes we didn't pool our tips. You know, there were times where, hey, I made my own money bartending. Uh, with when I went to Dave and Buster's and started out with them, I made my own money bartending. I didn't, so everything I made was mine. And especially when I left Dave and Buster's, I worked about a week in what we called what did we call that bar? Uh, Anyway, it was the Midway Bar, or not the Midway Bar. Anyway, it was a bar that was in the back of the building. Rarely got business because people didn't really know it existed. But you could have great lunches back there, and there was a horse racing game back there that you got cards for your horses, and you could put different cards in the machine, and play different horses and have horse racing. And it's kind of like a breeding type of thing and growing type of thing. This horse has so many wins and blah blah blah. And people would eat there and drink there, and I was just like, hey man, don't waste your time eating up there. Come back here and you can play while you eat. You can do that all right here, and you can drink. I'll bring the beers and stuff to you. It's no big deal. And next thing you know, I've got people back there. I've even got regulars coming back to me, and they're saying, "Oh man, when you're not here, it sucks back here. The person doesn't even act like we're alive." Wow, really? Okay, well that's nice to know. And then they got to the point, where uh, the bar manager was just like, "Hey, man, you are killing it back there." And man, I'm sad to see you leave because uh, we could really use your attitude back there, keeping everything running during the daytime. At nighttime, it went off. Don't get me wrong, but during the daytime, from like 10 o'clock in the morning till uh, 5 o'clock in the evening, you know, everybody's coming to see me back there, and I was making more than the main bar people were. And they're like, "What? How are you doing that?" Man, it's easy if you're just nice to people. It really is. And if you treat them like they're people instead of, because like I said, there was a lot of people. Man, they just, oh, you're not tipping me $5. Well, you're a dirtbag. It's like, dude, you don't, and that's how they treated them. They may have not said you're a dirtbag, but they treated them like they were dirtbags. Okay, well, like I said, I always remembered your drink. Sometimes I would see people coming, and I would be like, "All right, here's your Molson. I've got your Cajun shrimp Alfredo already ordered. It should be out here in about uh 5 minutes." Oh, wow, thank you, man. I appreciate that. And like I said, it was just when you can provide great service, and like I said, listen to your clients as well because they will tell you what they want. Okay, just listen to them. You don't necessarily have to ask them questions. Just listen to them. They will tell you, "Hey, I want to." How I got one client even. And she's like, "Man, you're the first Uber driver that I haven't had to call up and say, 'Hey, you're in the wrong spot.'" So when I talked to him about, "Hey, giving you a ride back," I was like, "And I know where you live, so you don't have to tell me where to go when you need picked up." "Ah, that's right, man. Sure, yeah, I should just use you." There you go. Now here's the drawback. Okay, this is the drawback, and this is the thing I will tell you that haunts everybody. Is you give them their card, and they say, "Oh man, this is great. Yeah, I want to use you." And they put the card in the wallet or they put the card in the purse. Okay. But where they're headed to, and what's great about people going to California now is I can say, hey, if you download this app, you can request a ride, while you're sitting there waiting to board. Download this app, request a ride from wherever you're at, from whatever airport you land at to wherever you're going. And hopefully somebody will pick that ride up for you. And, you can have a ride when you get there. And that's just another great thing that we can offer to people going back and forth from Phoenix to California is going to be great because they're going to have us in other cities where they're going, so they'll remember, oh yeah, he's home, oh yeah, I got Kevin on the other end, I need to let him know I'm coming back. Boom. Whereas you got somebody going to Chicago or Nashville or DC or New York or Miami or Atlanta. Well, what happens when they get to Atlanta? They got to use Uber again. Okay. One of the Because when I take somebody for the first time on a return trip and they literally walk out of the airport and into my car, I always ask them, "How did that feel?" "Oh man, this is great. I didn't have to wait or nothing." Exactly. You know. In fact, I was the one doing the waiting, not you. So, and that's what the way it should be. And it was perfect. And so now, like I said, it's when other people that haven't used you yet that don't understand what they're getting when they want you as a private driver, that when they get to another place, like I said, anywhere east of Phoenix, is basically they forget about because hey, they use Uber when they get to the airport in Dallas. They'll use Uber to go to their hotel. They'll use Uber if they want to go out and about. They'll use Uber, and when I say Uber, I mean Uber and Lyft. They'll use Uber to get back to the airport. So then when they get to the airport, they're automatically so conditioned to order an Uber ride that they totally forgot, "Oh, man, I had this guy that was gonna," and then by the time they remember it, it's too late because there's no way. And I've had one person do that where they said, "Oh, man, I forgot to make a reservation with you. I'm at the airport right now." I said, "Well, I'm 45 minutes away. Uh, I hate to say this, but you'd probably get quicker service with Uber and Lyft. I don't want you waiting there 45 minutes." Okay, well, it's my fault. I should have. You told me to let you know ahead of time. And I said, "Yeah, I did." And it's no. I told him, "Hey, it's no problem. Just remember, the next time around, I'm still your. I can still be your driver. This doesn't end our relationship. Okay." It's understandable. I tell them, "Hey, it's understandable. It's a creature of habit that, hey, you're used to doing this, and I'm offering something that's not usual. So, it is what it is." And like I said, there's I could be jumping down the throat and say, "Hey, man, will you call me? I'm gonna have to charge you extra and stuff like that." No, just, "Hey, it's good. This is what you need to do, and we'll take care of it. Next time. Use me next time. Remember me next time." And hey, if they do, they do. If they don't, they don't. I'm not gonna. I don't lose sleep over it. If somebody doesn't use me or doesn't use my card, I don't lose sleep over it. I really don't. I've even had, I had one person, she didn't know about it, but her husband came to the airport to surprise her to pick her up. Well, she and I are talking. I confirmed the night before, and when she landed, I said, "Hey, welcome." Here's my text when somebody lands: "Welcome back to Phoenix. It looks like you're landing. You're going to be at gate blah blah blah. I will pick you up on whatever side of the terminal, and it'll be at whatever door I need you to walk out of." Okay. And, she and I had already had that conversation. Well, then I get, "Hey, I am very sorry about this, but my husband surprised me to pick me up. I won't need you." And I said, "Hey, free is better than me. And I don't mind. Just next time, though, tell your husband to let you know ahead of time if he's going to surprise you ahead of time." And, she and I had a good laugh about the next time she used me. And I said, like I said, I really didn't matter. And I said, most drivers, my those tried to say, "Hey, you owe me this much for showing up even," and then canceling at the last second. I don't do that. I don't do that. That's bad. That's a bad service. I've even had, uh, one of my the daily ride that I do. Uh, she's like, "You need." I'm sorry, I waited till the last minute to tell you that. Hey, we don't need to use you today, but go ahead and charge me. I said, "No." I said, "I didn't even leave my house yet, so I can't charge you for a ride I didn't do. It'd be different if I showed up and you told me." So, I just told her that, it'd be different, but even then, still, I didn't do the ride. I can't charge you for it. That's just bad business. Okay, well, thank you very much. And that's just it. That's why they want to keep using me because, hey, I'm not here to penalize people. I'm here to solve their transportation needs. I'm not here to penalize them because, hey, they either drop if they drop the ball. If I thought it was malicious that they dropped the ball, like, hey, you said you couldn't do it, but then I just happened to be going to the airport anyway at that time. And hey, lo and behold, I look over and I see you in another car in the back seat. Well, what the hell is that all about? Why didn't you want to use me? Then it's like, hey, the next time, I don't know. And I've never had that happen. And to be honest with you, I've had one person that I did not want to do a ride for. And I literally would have charged $60 for the ride. I told this person $100 because I didn't want to do the ride. And lo and behold, I said $100 and they said, "Okay." I was like, "Oh shit, now I got to do the ride." Anyway, but the thing that made it all right was, hey, I was gonna charge 60 and I got 100. So boom, I it worked out in the long run. But and that just taught me that, hey, just be honest up front from now on. If you don't want to do it, I just say, "Hey, I can't do it, but let me see if I can get somebody that can." You know, and that's what I want to do too. Is I want to get people to to basically like me for who I am. Okay, like me that, hey, I provide great guest service to you. I provided a you know a safe alternative to Uber and Lyft. if you're a lady passenger. I'm not out here to take advantage of you. I'm here. In fact, I even tell ladies, if you don't mind, I'll wait till I see you inside the house or inside the door before I leave. You know, just for your safety, in case something happens and you need to run back, I'm still right here. Okay. And they appreciate that. They appreciate that. What I do is when I'm picking up a lady and it's dark, I will turn on all my inside lights. Okay. So that you can see the trunk space, the back seat, and the front seat. All right. And I leave them on purposely after even I've heard the door click and I start to take off a little bit. I'll hit, oh, did I leave the door open? I said, no, no. I said, I'm sorry. And then I'll turn it off. I said, yeah, I usually, when I have a lady passenger and it's nighttime, I like to turn all my inside lights on so that you can see there's nobody in the car but me. And they're saying, oh, wow, that's really cool. That's great of you to do that. Boom. So now if I do happen to talk and give this person my card, they already know, hey, this guy looks out for me. He's not, he's not somebody I need to be scared of. He's already looking out for me. And so that way they've already got a good first impression. Okay. That's just it. If you can make a good first impression on somebody, when you finally say, here's my card, they're going to take it and they're going to say, oh, I mean, I've even had people, all right, well, can I just text you my information now? I don't know, by all means, do so. No problem. I'll take it. More the better. And I even show them, hey, the plane finder app that, hey, I can track any plane in the world, what it tells me, what things are going on and when and where and how things work. And, you know, uh, go from there. Well, I've been doing this for an hour and 8 minutes, and the one person that was on here isn't on here anymore. And it looks like my chat has been going good as far as I've ironed out what problems I did have. I'll get all those other old testing live off the channel so that you guys don't think there was something going on. Trust me, there was some weird shit going on. So we need to just get rid of those and leave this one up. I did put out some good information for you, and you can always move around with it. Listen to it 15 minutes at a time if you want. That's what I do with some of these long chats. Because sometimes I'll miss some of Jeff's chat. I'll come in halfway through, and it's like, oh, you don't want to back up and start all over the beginning because you miss a chance to respond to anything that he's talking about live. So what I'll do is the next day I'll click on the live stream and let it run. And hey, when I'm in the shower or something like that, I'll let it play and stuff like that. Just so I can hear what he's talking about. Because sometimes, hey, both of us, both of us pick up off of each other, and that's the great thing about having this type of reaction with drivers is that we can bounce stuff off each other. Hey, this is what I do. If you hear something that I'm doing, oh man, I do it totally different than you. Check this out. All right, I'll check it out. I'll give everybody their fair share of hey, this is how they do things. Okay, um, just because you learn something. All right, uh, and guess what? Maybe it doesn't fit my business model right now, but maybe I'll have a business model that it will fit. So that hey, if I do change my business model, and trust me, that's one thing you should do is always have a backup plan. Always have a backup business model that hey, maybe just doing by appointment only right now, like during the summer, which is what I'm doing now, and what I continue to do is always build clients for the future. This is a time where hey, there's a lot of people here in Phoenix with snowbirds and college and everything else. So you want to get your clients now so that they use you during the summer. You want to have that host of clients that are going to use you month in and month out because, like I said, I've got about 3 or 4 clients that travel every month 3 or 4 times, if not more. And it's a good income, and that way, I don't have to spend time on Uber and Lyft looking for. Because sometimes, like now, and then in the summer, I will go on Sunday and Monday. I'll hit it hard. I'll look for all the airport rides I can. Mainly all day Sunday, some Saturday, all day Sunday. I'll give a fair shot at it. And then Monday morning, because these are your business travelers. Okay, they either want to they're leaving on Sunday because hey they got or they got business in somewhere first thing Monday morning, or they're getting paid to travel first thing Monday morning, so they need you Monday morning. Okay, so that being said, those are the people. Hey, I'm going to look to take to the airport on Uber and Lyft, and hey, sometime they're just going to return, and I'm going to take them back. All right, and that's how easy it goes. And I'm going to leave it at that for now. Been on for an hour and 11 minutes. Hope everybody's had a good time. If you listen to this, like I said, nobody's been on here. And next time I will start advertising when I'm going live. All right. Thank you guys very much. Have a nice day.